Our world needs compassion like never before. Many of you are dumping ice water over your heads to raise awareness for ALS. And that is certainly a situation where compassion is needed. It is an awful and terrible disease. At the same time, we look and we see the violence in Ferguson, Missouri. Beyond that, we go to the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, and there we see violence in the Middle East, Hamas and Israel fighting against one another. Then we see the violence in Iraq, where children are being beheaded. Beyond those things, 3,000 children die each day because of contaminated water and improper sanitation. Beyond that, 700,000 people die each year because of malaria. This world is certainly a hurting world, and it needs compassion. But when it comes to responding to the great need that is out there, there are a number of ways that we respond. One of the ways that we respond is that we avoid it. In other words, it's hear no evil, see no evil. If we don't know about it, we don't need to do anything about it. We go on living our lives uninterrupted. Another response that we often have is we ignore it. This is a close cousin to avoiding it. Ignoring it is recognizing the need but choosing not to do anything about it. Maybe we make an excuse saying, I can't do anything, but the truth is we just don't want to do anything about it. So we avoid it, we ignore it. Another option is to be overwhelmed by it. There is so much need out there. Who am I? Where do I start? And instead of doing something, we end up doing nothing. Other people will exploit the need. Certainly we've heard about, child prostitution and children being sold into slavery. Those are obvious examples of exploiting the poor. But we also exploit the need as well. Maybe you dump the ice water over your head simply to draw attention to yourself on Facebook. Maybe you participate in a charity event at your church, but the ultimate goal of that charity event was simply to get people to come to our church. There are many ministers of need who have profited off of the need. Make sure that the goal is helping others and not helping ourselves. Another response is to condemn others for their need. We blame them for their circumstances, and we think to ourselves that they deserve the situation that they find themselves in, and somehow that they are not worthy of our help, and we think that any effort we might put towards them is wasted effort. The final response is God's response. In Colossians chapter 3, verse 12, we're told by the Apostle Paul to put on compassionate hearts. A compassionate heart does not expect anything in return. A compassionate heart is not motivated by guilt. A compassionate heart is motivated by love. A compassionate heart is not bent on making another person come around to my way of thinking or my way of living. It meets that person where they are at. A compassionate heart does not feel superior in any ways, because a compassionate heart is one that has received compassion in the first place. The original Greek word for compassion means literally to have one's bowels moved. It's an intense inner feeling, and when we have that intense inner feeling of compassion, we cannot do anything but be moved. The beginning of compassion is found in a relationship with Jesus. Jesus is the one who first offered compassion to us. Compassion is not something that can be manufactured within us, but rather it is a gift that is given to us. And we see examples all throughout the scriptures how God is compassionate towards us, and He wants to give us that compassion. Let Jesus offer you His compassion here this day. Let Him do surgery upon your heart to remove any feelings of apathy, any feelings of resentment, any feelings of greed. Let Him do the heavy lifting. Let Him move your heart to compassion to respond to the need in this world. So have a great day. We will see you again next week.